Let's move on to filling out your document. The document booklet is pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to take the time to read to you all of the directions, so you can move at your own pace. The one thing that I will stress to you is that you need to be thorough, you need to keep your document clean, and you need to stay inside the bubbles. Anything that you put in your document that is unclear may make your scores harder to report. It may take longer for your scores to get to you or to any of the institutions that you tell ACT to send your scores to. So we're going to start on the front page of your testing booklet, your answer sheet, and we're going to go through the demographic information. That's the information that's about you. And so sections A and B are first. The first one says print your name and your current mailing address. So if you go to section A, it asks you last name first, then your first name, then your middle initial, your completed address, including street, number, and name, the city in which you live. Some of you live in Kansas City, some of you live in Liberty. Make sure you put the correct city in which you live, the state is Missouri, and the correct zip code for yourself. In section B, the information from section A needs to be bubbled in and labeled appropriately. So as you can see, I've done here in section B, I wrote DOE, D-O-E. I went down to the appropriate letter and carefully bubbled in each corresponding letter. So D, O, and E. And I'm going to leave the rest of the spaces blank. First name the same way, John, corresponding bubbles, and leaving the rest of the spaces blank. Make sure you're using a number 2 wooden pencil, not a mechanical pencil, and you are carefully bubbling in each letter. Stray marks are going to require that you erase outside the mark, or errors require that you erase completely before you make a new mark. Weak marks will be checked by your teacher, and any weak marks not fully blackened in will be given back to you for you to correct before you're allowed to leave. You may continue on the remainder all the way through letter J. You may skip letter C. The Social Security information is optional. You do not need to put in letter C. You must do the date of birth. Your month goes here, the date here. Make sure if you are born in a single digit month, like March would be the 3rd month, start with a 0 and then March, the 3rd month, and then the year in which you were born, the last 2 digits of the year that you were born. Make sure you fill out the citizenship portion, your telephone number, whether that is a home, cell, or some other type of phone number. You do not need to fill in the bubble for grade present because you all are 11th graders, nor do you need to fill in J. It has been filled in for you. Take a minute now to finish bubbling in those sections before we move on. Now that your demographic information is complete, I want you to go back and double check your work. Make sure in the date of birth section you have selected a month, you have written the month or the day and the year, and you have bubbled in the appropriate bubble corresponding to the day and the year. Please make sure you respond to F. Please make sure you respond to F2. Please make sure you have responded to E, stating your gender, G, stating your citizenship, your residential citizenship, H, your phone, and indicate whether that is a home phone, a cell phone, or some other. If that is a business phone for a parent, that would go under other. Double check and make sure that all of your bubbles correspond to your name. You do not need to worry about high school code. L is optional. You will receive, if you provide additional information on the back section, you will receive some additional educational opportunities from ACT. If you would prefer not to be contacted by ACT, please indicate no. If you would like to receive some additional information from them, please make sure you push yes. The last part of the front is an important section if you plan to send your scores somewhere. And I would highly recommend that you plan to send your scores somewhere. Even if these scores are lower than scores you achieve in the future, ACT will send your updated scores to your school. So completing this is in no way damaging to your acceptance at another school or at a school. It actually helps. So what I would suggest that you do, the directions in the booklet say that you need to turn to page 11. That's where they begin in your booklet, and you'll see that they are alphabetized by state. What you're going to want to do, identify the state in which the school that you prefer resides, the main campus, and then scroll down and find the 4-digit code that corresponds to that school. So for instance, if I were going to enroll in the University of Missouri at Columbia, the University of Missouri system includes campuses at Columbia, Kansas City, and St. Louis. So, and it is not in Missouri, the section in the M's, it is under University of Missouri, and a lot of state schools are that way. So if you're looking for the University of Kansas, you're going to want to find in Kansas, they use University of Kansas at Lawrence. And next to each school, there's a 4-digit code. For the University of Missouri at Columbia, it's code 2382. And what you would do on your test document, if University of Missouri is your first choice, you're going to want to write in there 2382. And then bubble in the corresponding number. This is not a required field. If you plan not to go to college or for whatever reason decline the opportunity to send your scores somewhere, you can bubble in the fact that you do not want to send your scores somewhere. We highly encourage you to fill out at least 2 choices, a first and second choice. You may select up to 4 choices free from ACT. Take a minute to look up your code for the corresponding schools, write the numbers down, and bubble them in according to your first choice and second choice and third choice. Now we're going to finish the rest of the demographic information. In order to do that, you're going to need to locate section N on your answer document. You can do that by turning all the way to the back side of your document. Not inside your document, it's on the back of what you were just working. The next section requires you to fill out your mailing address just as we have done the rest of the demographic information. So I need to make the address that you entered here match the address that you're going to enter here. So in this case, my address was 1234 Northwest 116th Street. So I would write in here 1234. Then I would need to leave a space for Northwest, then a space, 116th, and then a space, and then lastly, street, after I've left a space. And just like you've done before, you're going to bubble in the corresponding number or letter. Take your time, bubble completely and darkly. Make the columns of your document match the heading from above. I'll give you a minute to do that. The same procedure needs to be followed for city and state and for zip code, sections O, P, and R. If you live in Kansas City or another city that requires a space in between, so on the front I entered Kansas, leave a space, and then city. This space is critical. If you live in Liberty, you don't need to worry about it. It is a one-word city. And then Mo, and then your zip code down here, 64157, or whatever your zip code is. And again, take the time to bubble in the corresponding letter, leaving a space in between, where you've left a space in between up here. You don't need to worry about S, your local student ID number, and you don't need to worry about section T. You will need to make sure that you fill in letter Q. Are you a legal resident of this state? Either yes or no. You don't need to worry about this box. That should conclude the demographic information on this document. In a minute, there will be another video that leads you through filling in the document on the interior of the testing document.